about qualitative coding. In this video, I will define what coding is, actually. Okay, so basically we're doing the same thing in qualitative coding that we did in quantitative coding, except it's all write-in answers, basically. So that's why it takes longer. A good definition of coding is this. Coding is the data analysis process that breaks the text down into the smallest units and reorganizes these units into relatable categories. So that's what we're doing. We're breaking the text down. We're summarizing the text. And then we are kind of reorganizing. We're doing some organization so that we can see patterns, we can see dominant trends, etc. So why do we do this? Coding the qualitative data makes messy data quantifiable. So we're actually trying to turn our qualitative data into quantitative data. Coding the qualitative data creates structure, and coding the data is basically summarizing each answer, each participant response. I should write that. Participant response. So that you can start organizing your data into more manageable units. So codes are the smallest unit of text that convey the same meaning. So a respondent or participant, I guess, might have given you a paragraph worth of text to answer your question number 5. But it's hard to compare that paragraph with any of your other participants to know if they are saying basically the same thing until you try to summarize it and you break it down into either one word, a list of words, a phrase, or maybe I should say that. It's not really a paragraph because that really doesn't help. A list or a phrase. So that you can say, okay, this other person, I've coded them as the same word or the same list or the same phrase, so I can put them in the same category. And I can, because we want to have only 4 or 5, or even maybe 3 categories that everyone can fit them. We can fit everyone into. So sometimes you are going to anticipate or hypothesize your codes. This is called deductive coding. That's not really important to know, but basically it's just one way of coding. So for me, I think that my project is pretty straightforward, and some of your projects might be as well. So if I'm just asking how healthy are college students, I am, for a lot of my questions, probably my codes are going to relate to health. It might even be that you're healthy, you're not healthy, or you're in the middle, right? So sometimes my questions will require more complicated coding, but for some of them, I can just anticipate it. But others, my questions might be a little more complicated. I might look at my question and my responses and I have no idea. I'm just going to have to code them one by one and start to see if there's a pattern, maybe try to adjust my codes a little bit as I'm going, go back and revise my codes a little bit, because, go through my questions not just once, but maybe twice or 3 times, because each time I look at my data, I'm refining my codes. So I have fewer and fewer codes. And then we also have cross-coding, which is a separate video. So I will not really go into that right now. Okay, so the coding steps. It's actually very simple. You select the body of text you want to code, and then you start asking yourself what each participant is saying explicitly and implicitly. And then you create the code. Maybe I should say that. Create the code. Or maybe write down the code beside each participant, and then calculate percentages. So same thing basically that we're doing in quantitative, in our write-in answers mostly. Okay, so I have kind of an example that you can look at on your own. I'm going to skip that for now because I want to go straight to the example that your document is going to look like. But yes, you need to code all of your participants' answer in every qualitative question. I'm always revising my guidelines all the time. Okay, so basically it looks like this. It looks the same as the quantitative data. My name, or your name, sorry, my name, English 122, the date, and then qualitative data as of, when did you do this? And you're supposed to have 40. I actually have 28 as an example. Okay, so again, you write down all of your qualitative questions. So I have question 5, I have question 8, I have question 9, and I have question 10. So these are my qualitative questions. So your qualitative questions are just the text box questions. All right, so now you take it question by question. So here's my question 5. So again, I'm going to have to get the material from SurveyMonkey. So I'm going to have to copy and paste all of my participants, right? So I did, 28, but I'm going to have to do all of them. Okay, so I'm going to have to skip down to my question 5. Okay, here's my question 5. My question 5 is describe a typical day of eating for you. What's usually for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Include any snacks and drinks, where you get your food from, etc. Okay, so I have 31 responses right now. When I created this, I had 28, so it's a little different, but you get the gist. So I'm going to copy and paste all of these responses. Copy. Let's pretend I did. And then let's pretend I am pasting. So that's what this is. I didn't type any of these out, right? So, okay, so let's look at this. So I had to, so I've already done it, right? I've already done my coding. That's what the bolded words in parentheses are. So this is a very simple question, right? So I'm going to look at each participant. I'm going to say, okay, so let's look at you. My first participant for breakfast eats eggs, cereal, sausage, and coffee. All right, for lunch, maybe nothing, or salads or sandwiches, handmade. All right, that's helpful. Thank you for telling me that. Dinner is a homemade meal. Okay, so lots of cooking. I'm seeing, protein. I'm seeing grains. I'm seeing, vegetables. Yeah, I mean, all of this looks good, right? I have to have a measurement, right? And I'm going to put my standard of measurement in my calculations and conclusions, right? So here I have points deductive if they don't eat breakfast, because breakfast is the most important part of the day. Even though I don't eat breakfast, I drink tea until probably about 3 in the afternoon. So this is probably back when I ate breakfast, and I thought it was great. So points deducted for if you mention fast food, if you mention processed food like chips or Hot Pockets, I quote unquote deducted points, right? So you got demoted from being healthy to maybe moderately healthy or unhealthy. I gave you points, or I promoted you if you cook. And then if you had all of the food groups, so that's pretty much like, veggies, protein, etc. Right? So this is kind of my measurement. This is how I figured it out. So I'm going to go back up here. So I put this person as healthy. I'm like, you are healthy. Good job. So I have one healthy person so far. The second person I also said was healthy. It's just you interpreting it. It's you judging it. So for breakfast, they had an oatmeal snack. half of a granola bar for, oh, this is okay. Punctuation, people. Okay, so oatmeal snack, half of a granola bar. Okay, that's not bad. Those usually have, good nutrients. So for lunch, whatever leftovers they have. Okay, so maybe the leftovers are, cooked. I don't really know. There's not and maybe enough information here, but I'm just gonna let's just assume. I mean, I think like you don't usually save when you eat out, right? You don't usually save that food, or maybe you do. I don't know. Okay, other half of a granola bar, maybe with that. Okay, that's good. And then whatever my mom makes. Okay, I'm just gonna, that's home cooked, so I'm gonna just say that's healthy. I don't have enough information to demote them actually, so I have to say that they're healthy. My third person, so I read through all of these and I'm like, you're healthy. This person was moderately healthy because they don't have breakfast. Oh no, that's, back when I coded my information, I didn't like that. So snacking on items to give energy and calories. Okay, so I try to eat a decently large meal for lunch. Health benefits vary. Good hearty meals. Okay, I mean, they could have maybe been healthy, but my standard was, you have to have breakfast to be healthy. So you have to be consistent, right? So consistently, if I'm going to take people down a notch for not eating breakfast, they're moderately healthy. So I'm going through all these and saying what they are. So I already knew my coding. I used deductive coding. I just know it. And so that was really easy for me. So I put, I added these up, I said, if I'm looking at healthy, 1, 2, 3, where's another healthy? 4, so, I'm counting. So I added this all up. Most people were moderately healthy, but, a lot of people I said were healthy too. So your calculations and conclusions will be a little messier here. So you can give me some ideas, right? I realized my question did not result in clear answers. Because, like, you saw that one. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, they don't eat breakfast, but I don't know. I just didn't get enough information for my participant number, I think 3 it was, right? So I'm going to just be honest about that. And I'm like, sometimes it was hard for me to tell. I could have been more specific. I tell my categories. I decided my categories were healthy, moderately healthy, unhealthy. So easy. And then how I demoted or promoted, then I made my calculations. I could also, put the percentage, which I didn't right here. Let me see. Okay, let me get out my little calculator. Okay, so 9 divided by, let's see, 28. Is that how many I had? I don't know. Maybe I should make sure that I have that many people. 15 that were moderately healthy, plus 9 plus 4 equals, oh yeah, 28. Okay. All right, so 9 divided by 28 is 32%. Okay. See, just, I don't know, it helps me like understand more what my data is. This is about rounding, it's 54%. And then 4 divided by 28 is, thank you, iPhone, 28. Is it 28? No, it's not 28. I don't know why I said that. 14. That makes more sense. Okay, 14%. So, so my 6th conclusion or thought was I'm surprised because actually people are being pretty healthy from my perspective, my standard. So, that's interesting. So, I'm going to talk about my ideas of cross coding, which you'll understand. I'm not cross coding yet, right? You don't have to turn in your cross coding unless you want to, unless you want me to look at it. But, because, I just don't want to give you too much to do. You might just do it later when you have, more free week or something. But I'm going to just anticipate the questions I want to cross-code. So I think that I'm going to cross-code this question with my quantitative question, question 4. Remember, question 4 was rate yourself? So that would kind of make sense. If I want to compare how every participant rated themselves with how basically I rated them, because this question is me deciding how healthy they are. If when I asked them in question 4 to rate themselves from 1 to 10 how healthy they thought they were, that's interesting. What if they rated themselves really low and I rated them really high? That would be, maybe then I would conclude that people are judging themselves pretty harshly, So that's that. Okay, let's go on to a more complicated question. So question 8, scroll down. Okay, so please describe your answers from question 7. What was question 7? Question 7 was, and we went over it in the quantitative document, what are the main reasons keeping you from being healthy with food? Okay, so, I already coded this and everything, made some conclusions. So basically, they are fleshing out why they don't eat in a healthy way. And I have 2 people that skipped the question. So that's unfortunate. Okay, so I have already coded, right, this question, but this is another question. I need to code it as if I don't know how they coded themselves already. I can compare it. I can cross-code, right? Maybe I would cross-code question 8 with question 7. To cross-code, you have to have coded both questions that you're cross-coding separately and then compare the codes, basically. But, watch the 3rd video. Okay, so again, I'm going to put that as question 8. I'm going to copy and paste all of my responses. I'm going to right-click, press copy, pretend I have done it, and then transfer it to my Word document. And then so you see that actually I have 2 layers here. I had to code this twice because my codes were too messy. Like I just didn't, I had too many, I had like 12 different things, 12 different codes, and that was too much. And so you can kind of see I have a lot of different codes, right? No problem, busy, forget, busy to prepare, busy health condition. Okay, so a lot of people busy. Not a priority, lazy, tend to eat out, budget. I mean, that coding is just all over. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do, right? But it ended up being, I ended up coding a second time and then saying, okay, are they A, B, C, D, or E? Are they busy, expensive, cooking too much, complicated, blah attitude, emotions, or no problems? So, it's kind of similar to my question 7, but, that's what happens when you ask a follow-up question. But it's a good example because it's a little more confusing. So, for instance, so this person said, I often have no self-control when it comes to food, or snacking. I eat when I get bored. I don't eat when I'm sad. I try not to eat very much because I'm hyper conscious on gaining weight. Okay, so what are the main points here, right? No self-control, bored, sad, fears of weight gain. So that's what I wrote. But I ended up, the second time I went through, what did I put this person as? D, emotions, right? That makes sense. I just didn't see it at first. I could have immediately said, oh, this person has a very emotional relationship to food. But I didn't see that. And that's okay. Maybe you don't see immediately what the main thing is. I just had to put this list of words. And then at the end, I was like, okay, so probably other responses made me think, yes, emotional. So I'm going to write, I had to, let's see, complete 2 layers of coding. First is in yellow, second is in blue. So maybe that'll kind of make more sense because you're seeing what I have done after I've completely done it. So this person said, mostly I don't want to make my parents buy different groceries just to meet my dietary needs. So basically it was family, right? So I ended up putting them in what? C, cooking too much time. So basically like difficulties, right? So actually I'm going to change that to difficulties. I was just having a lot of problems with this. So family is the same kind of difficulty, like, oh, so it's my family, or maybe it's yourself, but it's you don't have time because you're the head of the family. So my first one was family, but then I ended up saying that it was C, which I'm further changing and further refining, which is good. It's a process of evolution, really is what it is. So first it was family. I only had one word, but I didn't have really anyone else who said family or who talked about family, or maybe I didn't have enough people. So it's better that I put them with other people that, it's still in that category, right? So C, difficulties. So this one said I have class from 12 to 2 usually. So that is when I used to eat lunch, and it throws my schedule for a loop. So it's like school schedule, it's maybe time. Yeah, so I ended up putting them as A, which A was busy schedule. So maybe I would just say time. So that would be better. Okay, so A is time. So that was my second layer. Other people are going to have time, I'm sure, but not everyone had this specific time issue at school, right? Other people had time issues of family or etc. So you see, like, this one is also A. I often need quick meals between whatever, so quick time, right? Between whatever activities in the day, often between school and work. It's incredibly hard and expensive. Okay, this person also had expensive to eat quick and healthy, but they needed to eat quick and healthy. That's if they didn't have to eat quickly, then maybe they wouldn't have to have expenses. So time still is dominant. When I get the chance to, because you don't want participants necessarily to overlap, right? You want to put them in one place. When I get the chance to relax, I eat much healthier, but for a few days a week, I blow off health and quality food for quick. She said the word quick, like, or he or they said the word quick 3 times. All right, so at first I didn't get it because I didn't think about time. I said school, work schedule, expensive, quick and healthy, tired, exhausting. I ended up putting them in time. They just, time was what they were talking about. So that was also time, right? This person, we'll just do them because they are in the middle of here. I try to eat well and keep my body in good shape so I can eat junk food too sometimes. Okay, that sounds fine. So, I mean, it's balanced, right? So balanced, no problem. So I put them as E. What did I say E was? E is no problems. So I kind of already figured that out. E is just no problems. Okay, so it's kind of the same, but since I did this twice, sometimes you're just repeating yourself. But you want to have 2 layers for everybody, right? So that's what I did, and that's basically it. Since if you already watched the quantitative question, then you know. So here are my calculations and conclusions that you always need to do. I mentioned that this is going to be good for participant quotes. I'm going to like that in my results and discussion section. It helped me realize how complicated eating is, super complicated. You have lots of things that are the, that are the problem. Oh, I'm just going to, hold on, sorry. I'm having maintenance. I'll be right back. So yeah, I'm just in another room doing a class. So do what you need to do. Let me know if you need anything. Okay, great. Okay, so sorry, I just had to, but I pretty much finished anyway. I just have maintenance coming. But yeah, so my question was a checklist, but I'm going to code for the main issue for each person, and then I did my percentages, etc. So basically, it was a little more complicated, a little more time consuming because I had to code twice. In any way that you can tell me that I did 2 layers of coding, so I can see it will be helpful. But that's what it is. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that is qualitative coding, and we will do. If you are in my remote classes, obviously, if you're in my online classes, you're kind of doing this on your own. But if you're in my remote classes, we're going to have a coding activity where you can get some help with some of these codes and do it together. So hopefully that'll be fun.